This is Crime News Rundown, where if the story's a little weird, we cover it here. My name is Dee, and this is Creepycassettiyt, your place for horror in reality and beyond. On this channel, we cover dark history, weird mysteries, true crime, and strange tales. So if any of those topics are of interest to you, I do encourage you to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell in case you want to be one of the first people to see my videos. And feel free to drop your content suggestions in the comments below. I have to warn you ahead of time that the stories are going to get gradually more horrifying as we read along here. So I'll give you a trigger warning before we get into the worst stuff. Just be aware and prepared to click away if things get a little uncomfortable. Let's go ahead and get started. Wedding scammer defrauds Texas couples out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, leaving them scrambling for a venue on their wedding day. We have a man named Carl John Butcho II. He was arrested on August 14th of this year by Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. He'd been posing as the owner of the Charleston Lane wedding venue in Willis, Texas, going by the name Lance Miller. He's been charged with theft of property valued between $150,000 and $300,000. Charleston Lane is listed as permanently closed and their website has been taken down. 12 people paid Butcho for weddings totaling to about $202,424.90, and these ceremonies never happened, at least not at that venue. Another 5 victims whose weddings did occur at the venue reported they had not received refunds for numerous issues, those refunds totaling about $11,450. One bride showed up at the venue for her rehearsal dinner the day before the wedding and found the place chained shut. She had to scramble at the last minute to find a wedding venue for her wedding the next day. What's worse is Miller wasn't answering her calls. She suffered a total loss of $54,000, and that included her security deposit. I cannot imagine the stress she must have felt in that moment to know that she paid all this money, done all this planning, only to find out the last minute she was being taken for a freaking ride. Another bride was not given a refund after she'd been promised fireworks, a dessert bar, and a photo booth, which she never received. Butcho was taken to Travis County Jail, where he is being held on a bond of $100,000. If released, he will have a number of conditions, such as no contact with the victims, GPS monitoring, surrender of his passport, and he is prohibited in engaging in wedding or event planning businesses. He also has additional charges in Travis County, including false statement to obtain property or credit and fraudulent securing of document execution. The venue itself has been sold and the name has been changed to the Lakeview. The new owner, Alex Garcia, is donating time in the space to the couples who were scammed, which I think is a noble thing. But one thing I want to make certain of is that y'all are being real careful out there when you're planning these weddings, because people are fucking shiesty. And especially nowadays when money's getting scarcer, people are gonna make all kinds of bad decisions that impact others just because they need the bucks. Next up, Australian man charged with possession of AI-generated child abuse material. A 58-year-old man from New South Wales has been charged with 3 child abuse material offenses. That man's name has not been disclosed. He was arrested on August 3rd of 2025 after Australian Border Force found the alleged materials on his cell phone during a digital device examination. The man had been selected for baggage examination after he arrived at Sydney Airport from overseas. They found that some of the materials included AI-generated images of the man with these various children. He was subsequently charged with 2 different offenses and granted conditional bail after being seen in Downing Central Local Court on August 4th, 2025. Australian Federal Police and New South Wales Police executed a search warrant on the man's home, seizing a USB and desktop computer during their search. A preliminary search of the devices turned up over 1,000 images and videos of child sexual abuse material, including children as young as a year old and even some bestiality material. The depravity of humans will never cease to horrify me. He will appear in Parramatta Local Court on September 30th, 2025. According to AFP Detective Acting Superintendent Luke Needham, any material that depicts the abuse of children is illegal, and I'll be quoting the next few lines. Online simulations, fantasy, text-based stories, animations, and cartoons, or material which is created using AI are all illegal. Producing and possessing this material, even by AI, normalizes this behavior and contributes to the harm of children. The AFP and its partners will not rest until the alleged perpetrators are apprehended and put before the courts. And I fully agree with that. I do absolutely think that be using AI for people to get their kicks, their disgusting kicks, off without involving real children is just feeding the bear. It's good to know that it's illegal, and it should be illegal everywhere because it's freaking disgusting. People who go looking for that kind of thing shouldn't be allowed to roam around in polite society. Put them under the jail. Ship them to the moon in a cardboard rocket ship. The man's charges following finding all of that content on his USB and desktop computer are as follows. 1 count of possession or control child abuse material obtained or assessed using a carriage service, contrary to section, bunch of numbers of the criminal code. The maximum penalty for this offense is 15 years imprisonment. 1 count of producing child abuse material, contrary to section 91H of the Crimes Act. The maximum penalty for this offense is 10 years imprisonment. 1 count of possessing child abuse material, contrary to section 91H of the Crime Act. The maximum penalty for this offense is 10 years imprisonment. 1 count of possessing bestiality material, contrary to section 547E of the Crimes Act. The maximum penalty for this offense is 5 years imprisonment, and 1 count of failing to comply with bail acknowledgement, contrary to section 771 of the Bail Act 2013. Why even release him on bond? There's too much room for escalation. If someone's already generating this type of material, like I said before, it's feeding the beast when you should really starve it. That's all of the information I have for this case for now, but the next case that we're going to discuss, this is where that trigger warning is really going to come in, because we are about to discuss the murder. I want to make you aware that that's what's coming up here. He seemed like a good guy. Teen murders Uber driver to let off steam. An 18-year-old New Mexican teen by the name of Shaliki Sanchez murdered an Uber driver. A little after midnight on August 7th, 2025, Sanchez ordered his girlfriend to get him an Uber under her account. He told her that one of his friends was going to lend him a car, so he needed a ride to go get that. But that was just a farce. He intended to order the Uber to kill the driver for no other reason other than that he could. He swiped through several drivers before settling on a man named Joseph Andrus. So they order the ride, and a few minutes later, Andrus shows up. Andrus was an ambitious, hardworking gentleman who had just graduated from college, something his mother would later say was a major dream come true for him. I'm certain when he showed up at Sanchez's girlfriend's house, he was under the impression it was just another routine ride, this one out of the way, make a coin, and go on about his business. He had no idea that this conduit of evil was going to be taking up space in the back of his car. Sanchez cocked his gun before he even got into the vehicle. His reason for doing so? He wanted to be able to fire a shot off just in case the driver decided to attack first. The two men had a little chat during the drive, with Sanchez later telling police that Andrus was actually really cool. He had a whole ass talk with me and everything. But that didn't cause you to pause. That shows a real lack of humanity. Before he manages to make it to the plotted destination, the car stops and Sanchez's girlfriend gets an automated call from Uber alerting that the car was stopped without the drop-off being completed. The girlfriend calls Sanchez a couple of minutes later to verify if everything was okay, to which he replied that everything was fine. I don't know if they just ended up continuing the trip after a couple of minutes or what, but they apparently did make it to the drop-off point eventually. So when they get there, Sanchez coaxes Andrus out of the car, and Andrus is obviously hesitant, indicated by the fact that when Sanchez is relaying the information to the police, he says that he was taking too long to get out of the car. When Andrus does get out of the car, Sanchez shoots him like 5 times immediately, and then he just leaves the man bleeding out on the ground as he gets in Andrus's car and starts to make off with it. But before he gets gets too far, he stops the car again, he gets back out, he shoots Andress, and then he drives off. He drives Andress's black Ford Escape to his girlfriend's house. The couple takes the car over to a nearby McDonald's to pick up a couple of coffees before going to a nearby park and taking the license plates off of the car. Which, if this is just a car that you're borrowing from someone, why would you be taking their license plates off? That right there would have been suspicious to me. But anyway, meanwhile, back at the scene, police are alerted to gunshots going off in the area via a gunshot alert device. They find Andress and he's pronounced dead at the scene. Andress's vehicle was tracked back to Sanchez's girlfriend's house, and a SWAT team picked up Sanchez and his girlfriend and brought them in for questioning. When they asked about the Uber ride he took on August 7th, Sanchez played dumb. He said he didn't know what they were talking about, and he'd been asleep at his grandmother's house until about 8 a.m. that day. The police asked him if he'd taken an Uber ride, to which he said he didn't, that his friends drove him around everywhere. And then they asked him if he knew why his girlfriend would hail an Uber for him, and he said no. But then the police told him the car was registered to an Uber driver who had been shot on August 7th, and again he played dumb, saying what the fuck. When the police asked him about the car, he lied and told them he had bought the vehicle on Facebook Marketplace from someone named Angel for like $1,900. He stated the transaction was made the day before the incident. Right, because police can't track that whole conversation. Police eventually coaxed the truth out of him, to which he says he wanted to let some steam off due to so much stress and so much bullshit. He allegedly didn't want to take his stress out on certain people. He wanted to kill anyone he could find. In the most disgusting display of cognitive dissonance I have ever heard, he told the police he felt bad for Andress a little bit, but just getting that satisfaction out of the way, it's like a relief, like taking an in and out breath. Why didn't you just take the in and out breath? He's since been charged with murder, armed robbery, and tampering with evidence. At a pretrial detention hearing on August 9, 2025, he allegedly revealed he killed 3 other people whilst he was still a juvenile. He has not been charged in connection with any other murders he alleged to have done, and those claims are now being investigated. But Sanchez's lawyer believes that he's grandstanding and he was taking responsibility for other people's crimes, and it's not clear if he entered any pleas during that hearing. He will remain behind bars. Recently, he's been brought back up on separate charges, which were for an incident that occurred in May 2025, where he pointed a gun at his 7-year-old half-brother's head. He was allegedly drunk at his grandmother's home when the incident occurred. He threatened his little brother with a gun and told him not to tell. It's not clear what prompted Sanchez to even threaten his brother to begin with. That's really all the information I have at this point, but let me just take a moment to remember Joseph Andress. He had a lot more life to live. Friends and family who have memorialized him called him a great guy, a loving guy, the type of guy who was considered like a hero to his little sister. At a vigil that was held in his honor on August 9, 2025, Amy Green, his little sister, had this to say about her brother. He taught me a lot and shaped me. My first word was Joe. I only smiled for him for a while. His mother, Allison Green, said this: he had overcome a lot of things. I mean, how many people do you know who have lost somebody or lost someone or felt alone or singled out or bullied or any of these things? He made sure they didn't feel alone because he knew what it was like, and he worked so hard to overcome so much. This last year was full of happiness and love. He was just days away from his 31st birthday. He would have been turning 31 on August 16th. And instead of him being able to celebrate another year, celebrating all of his accomplishments from the prior year for his birthday, his family and loved ones are going to be spending that time without him. It really just, it ticks me off. As you can see this picture of Sanchez, he's literally smiling. Like the unmitigated gall of this to be smiling after what he did to this family really pisses me off. But at the end of the day, I just wish for peace for the entirety of the Andress Green family, and my heart goes out to all of you. That's it. That's the end of the video. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below, or if you have anything to add, just let me know. I do hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon.